When I was a young boy, that was before I studied law, I had the good fortune, and I say it was a privilege, to be born to a set of parents who were lawyers. They both were highly respected lawyers. They maintained high values, very high standards of integrity. My father, whom I lost very early, and I'm an only child, so I still miss him in a strange way, was again, he had a very powerful personality, a strong presence. He was a very good communicator, and he used to look up to Mr. Setalvad as a kind of a bow idol. He was, Mr. Setalvad, the late Mr. Setalvad, was perhaps a role model for him and for so many advocates who practiced in the Supreme Court in that generation. I had, therefore, accidentally the opportunity of meeting and playing in the lap of Mr. Setalvad. And until he left for Bombay, he always inquired about me, and occasionally when he met me in some while he was in Uttarakhand or somewhere, he always had a long deep pockets, and one pocket was full of almonds and the other one was full of cashews, and he always loved taking out almonds and cashews and sharing it with children. And he would then tell me very brusquely, "Go away, it's too early to learn the legal profession." But I didn't even know at the time that I had any great desire. I was not even in touch with myself. I was a young boy. But he had a sparkling presence. His whole personality radiated purity. He had a simple kurta pajama, and he used to wear it, and he had a deep gaze, a gaze which never, shall I say, gave away what he was thinking, but a gaze which was totally non-offensive. He never treated another person who was opposite him that he was very different from him. So a very unusual person. I still carry that imprint of Setalvad, and then he gave me a copy of the book, My Life, Law and Other Things, which was autographed by him, and I've read it over and over again. It was a staple diet of inspiration. I also had the opportunity to see the late Mr. Chagla, again because of my father. He again was so wonderful. He had an aura about him, gracious, and he spoke English so well, and very fond of cricket commentary. And in those days we had small Philips, transistors. So he used to always carry a transistor in his pocket and would step out of the court to quickly know what were the scores in a test match. That was much before Kerry Packer emerged on the cricketing world. I also met Mr. Sirvai, again accidentally because of my father, and the sheer purity of his speech, his intensity of expression. You may be a child, you may not know law, but you never can miss any of these things. I also had the opportunity to see Niren Dey. Niren Dey, who has never really received, according to me, the degree of respect which he deserved, because he was again a very extraordinarily professional person in my view. When as a young boy I used to go to court, I was so delighted when the Chief Justice designate, Justice Kapadia, mentioned in the symposium on legal education that I miss seeing students in my court when an important case is being argued. And I loved that comment so much. It brought to my own conscious mind the fact that I used to go to court as a young boy to see whether there was something interesting happening. And I used to remember Niren Dey, his very erect carriage, his very dignified presence in court, his completely accurate statement of fact, and he always would reach the court half an hour before the court sat, and was very dignified. So although people think that he took extreme positions in legal arguments like the habeas corpus case, well, I mean, that is a position which sometimes a lawyer has to decide whether to take or not. And perhaps it was, in retrospect, it may have looked an excessive position to take in a constitutional democracy. But shall we say, the literality of the law may appeal to different lawyers and in very different measures. But Nirande again was a very impressive lawyer. The late Mr. S.V. Gupta again was a lawyer with extraordinary presence. He was very dignified and would speak only to the extent necessary. In the years when I was a young boy, I saw that brevity was expected of counsel, was very rarely demanded, and counsel would know that they didn't really have to labor a point, and left it to the judge to adjudicate. So the atmosphere was of great calmness, great, shall I say, great silence, and there was a lot of attentiveness, partially because the lawyers were smaller numbers, the courtrooms were just right, the number of papers which had to be kept in the court were not so many, so it may have conduced to that kind of milieu. But that was one of the first things which I remember of the older set of lawyers. I had the opportunity to see A.S.R. Chari, the great criminal lawyer, and he had a beautiful handwriting. I must tell you, each lawyer had a very unique handwriting. Nirande had his own special handwriting, and he was really a lawyer who handwrote all his notes in foolscap sheets. I saw Mr. Sivai's handwriting, very delicate and very carefully crafted, very carefully thought out. So he must have spent a lot of time even while forming his words with the pen. I saw Mr. Setalwad's handwriting, which was a very conventional, old, right-hand tilted Shakespearean kind of font. It was very interesting to even see the handwritings of these great lawyers. Very interesting indeed.